everyone, and welcome to the first podcast of Wake Up Theater, a group committed to using the captivating and transformative power of live performance to shed light on critical environmental, social, and political issues. We are dedicated to creating thought-provoking theatrical experiences that encourage audiences to consider their role in shaping a more just, sustainable, and compassionate world. Through compelling narratives, evocative visuals, and masterful storytelling, we aim to foster dialogue, inspire empathy, and promote meaningful change. Today, we will chat with Jai Mallett, one of the founding members of WOOT, and who provided the inspiration to bring Nobel Prize-winning Harold Pinter's play, The Dumb Waiter, to the stage at Pepper Theater this November. For details on how to reserve tickets, see the links provided in the accompanying text. With that, let's get started. Well, good evening, Jai. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me this evening. First of all, I really want to thank you for giving me the chance to be part of this upcoming production that we're working on, Harold Pinter's play, The Dumb Waiter.
You're more than welcome. It's been a pleasure doing it with you. Rehearsing has been great. And it's finally getting there.
Indeed. Well, just a little bit about your background. Everybody listens to me and say, oh, well, I can hear your American accent. And I suppose everybody listens to you and says, well, I can hear your British accent, right?
Yep, they certainly do.
Clearly, you're very much in love with rugby. And, so that says pretty clear that you were originally from England. Where did you actually grow up and how did you end up in Munich?
Okay, well, I come from Barnet. It's a place in the north of London. I lived there until I was about 21 years old. And then I just started traveling around a bit and came to Munich for the Oktoberfest and just stayed.
That'll teach him to do the Oktoberfest, huh? Look what they brought in.
Yeah, and although I live in a country where there's practically no rugby, it's been difficult, but my love for rugby is still great. Unfortunately, I can't play due to a foot injury or a leg injury, but I love to watch it on the telly.
Yeah, cool. So you ended up in Munich and just decided to stay. And so what year was that?
That was back in September 1989.
Wow, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But how did you get from that point, being a, very successful, married and interested in theater and all that kind of stuff? What happened in all those intervening years?
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't easy starting off. I mean, I just did odd jobs here and there, working on building sites, working in restaurants, cleaning dishes and all the basic stuff. I lived on a camping site for a long time, for a couple of years. And then eventually met a girl. We moved in together. We had a kid together. That didn't last. Well, the kid did, but not the relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I got a more permanent job and then found another woman who I then ended up marrying in 2002.
Cool. So how did you come from all of that to your fascination with theater?
Well, my first play I ever did, I think it was about 10 years old, and it was the school nativity play.
Still back in England then?
Yeah, but that's something you have to do when you're a kid at school in England. But I had some friends who were very much into making little movies, and they used to have their little cine cameras. And one guy did the special effects, and the other one directed and edited the films. Those two guys now live in Hollywood.
Really?
Yeah, and they've even got their own podcast. Both doing the jobs that they love. And then after that, I came eventually to Germany. A German friend of mine, asked me if I would like to do the lighting for the play he was doing.
Okay.
So I said I'd have a look at it. I went out, had a look at all the lighting, and I saw the actors on the stage. I thought, oh God, much rather be doing that. So I came home, sat down in front of the computer, went online, and started having a look, and ended up finding Entity.
The English-speaking theater group. So, what was it about? What did you see with the people that were on stage that said, "Hey, that's what I want to do"?
I found it was a way of expressing, you express yourself very well. It gave me a sense of freedom and joy. There was, of course, being in a foreign country. I mean, speaking another language, to finally find people that spoke English as well was a great way, brought me along as well. But the love for the theatre really sort of kicked off when I started to get back there. I found that it was just, I had great fun doing it, doing all the little workshops that they had, finding out all these new methods, these little games that people do in acting workshops, and learning how to express yourself, not doing too much, not doing too little. And it became a great joy for me, and took great pleasure in doing it.
It started out as a way of playing, then, if I'm understanding what you're saying, and you just got more and more interested in it. I assume then that there was a point at which you began to discover some important lessons for you as an individual in your real life. What kinds of things have you learned from being an amateur actor that's made a difference in your life, would you say?
It's been a long journey. I mean, it's not something you learn overnight, and it suddenly changes everything in you. But taught me a lot about how to be a lot more patient about certain things. And it's not necessarily about you when you're on the stage. I mean, one of the first things I learned was your job is to make the person standing opposite you look good. Make sure that they feel comfortable with you, make sure that they know what you're doing. And once they feel comfortable, then you can start to relax because it will help you relax. And I found that also helps in life as well. By making other people more relaxed and comfortable, they will react normally like that to you as well.
In the end, then, there's more success at reaching the goals that you've set, either in personal life or in business, and people are enjoying it more. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I've had a few cases where it's gone pear-shaped, but on the whole, yeah.
We all have had those experiences too. Any surprises that you've learned about yourself, your own personality, your own struggles with your background that became apparent to you from the roles that you played?
Yeah. You have to, in acting, go back to memories of feelings a lot. How did you feel in this situation? How did you feel in that situation? And it does wake up quite a few hidden feelings, especially if you haven't had, let's say the greatest of childhoods, or something's gone wrong or in your life. You can use this to your advantage. I mean, it's not all bad, it's also good, but you also have good feelings that you can work on. But it has helped. You realize there's things about yourself through acting that you didn't realize were there. It awakens things in you.
Yes.
For me personally, it was a bit of a challenge because there's some things you don't want to remember, so you block it off. And then suddenly, through this one piece of acting, you realize that you would have to use this bad memory
Sure.
for whatever purpose. And it's learning not only to use it, but to control it as well.
Did you find maybe some forgiveness for yourself as well for maybe things that happened in the past just through understanding?
Yes. Like I said, there are things where you've blamed other people and you said, oh, if it hadn't been for this person or that person, you would have, it would have been completely different. But at the end of the day, it does help you, well, it helped me in some cases realize that it doesn't matter if it was been that person that had been horrible to me or whatever. It would have happened anyway. It doesn't matter if it was my fault or somebody else's fault. It's coming to terms with it.
Sure.
It helped you work these things, these feelings, to get through, certain moments. Not just on stage, but also off stage.
How did you first learn about Harold Pinter and his extensive work as a playwright?
A friend of mine, Bish, had actually seen the play in London in the West End. He found it fantastic, and when he got back, he phoned me up and asked me if I'd be interested in doing the play with him. I'd never heard of Harold Pinter before or the play. He sent me the script. I read through it. I thought it was a very good play, nice short play. Then I started to read online about the play, about people's points of view of it, what they thought it, how it should be interpreted. Then, of course, that led to me reading a bit more about Pinter, who he was, what he had done.
Were you surprised to discover he was a Nobel Prize winner?
Yeah, yeah.
That was a surprise for me too.
It's one of those sentences you read through again, so you really are, what? He was a Nobel Peace Prize? Oh, well, wow. Yeah. And that he was always coming into conflict with certain politicians for his liberal points of view.
He was not one to ever to be silenced about anything, was he?
No, and that he does in his plays as well. He brings it across in his plays very well.
So that first attempt with Bish didn't work out quite right, but you were just determined that it was going to happen somehow. Tell us a little bit about what happened in between before I showed up.
Okay, well, it started. This was in the beginning of 2019. I started learning with a couple of friends, one of which was Simon, who's now the stage manager. He was helping me learn my lines because I was going to do the play with Bish. And that started off really well, but then things started to go wrong. I became ill in October of 2019, had to be operated on, and had to take 3 months off work. When I finally recovered, Corona started. So that was another kick in the teeth. So we couldn't do any rehearsals. We wanted to take it to Feats, which is the festival, the Actors Festival in Europe. But of course, because of Corona, that got cancelled. So we decided to try it again for the following year in 2021. Corona still wasn't completely annihilated. They decided to do Feats, but only online. Something we were neither Bish nor I were impressed with. So we stopped again. I then wanted to start again in 2022 with a friend of mine. And I'd started to learn all the lines. I was going to start trying to get the whole band together as well, get a director, rehearsal rooms. And just as I'd started to get everything organized, the Ukrainian war started, and he has family in the Ukraine, the guy who I was going to do the play with. So he had to drop everything and run off and look after his family in the Ukraine and get them back, well, get them either into Germany or into Poland. So that fell flat on its face. Then I saw over Facebook that some old friends of mine had started up some workshops, acting workshops. So I went along to those, met some old friends, met some new ones as well along the way, and bumped into you, Roger. Whereupon after having been in a few workshops with you, I asked you to be interested in doing it to play with me. Then I asked you if you'd like to do the dumbwaiter, and as we were sitting in the restaurant, I asked you if you knew what a dumbwaiter was, and you said, of course. I said, because it's not that guy standing over there who's serving us. You said, yeah, I know that.
Right. So, that's a lot of determination to bring this play to the stage, and I have to think that it's because you saw some important messages in this play that you wanted to bring to the stage and to help other people to be more aware of. What do you think are the most important things that the people who come to watch this can learn from this play?
On the face of it, the play is just a basic play, but it's only when you start, it leaves so many questions open, this play. I think it's a case of, although it's a short play, it will stay in your mind for a long time because it has so many issues in it. And there are so many questions that are left open, not just on the surface of the play, but also further back into it, when you think, oh my God, yeah, that relates to this and that relates to that, and also to our modern day situation with now two wars going on in Europe, the Ukraine, and now in Israel, and the Gaza. It's yeah, and it's not just that. I mean, there's other things as well, things that are happening in America and also in England with Brexit. It touches all of these issues, maybe not directly. I mean, obviously, Pinter didn't know anything about these things, that these things were going to happen, but they are these issues do appear
Yes.
in the play.
Well, I know that I can certainly share your some of your comments on that, because I know that as you and I have worked through the play, we're constantly discovering new things in the lines that are relevant to what we're struggling with today. So it's been a wonderful journey of discovery that you and I have done just getting ready to put this play on.
I mean, I know there's been several times when one of us has said something, or even Susan, and we've sat there and gone, "Oh God, I never really thought of it from that point of view."
Yeah, right.
Or "Oh God, yeah." When now that you say that, yeah.
Well, good. So, anything else you want to add about yourself, or why you'd like to have lots of people come and see the play, and what they could expect? And
Yeah, like I said, it is a very interesting play. I mean, I would say to people that I mean, I've worked on this play a lot, very hard, just like everybody else who's involved in this play, whether it's my fellow actor or the director or even the production team or the stage manager. They've all worked hard on it, and I think also to give the respect that Pinter deserves for having written this play. He does deserve a lot of respect for it. But I would say, I mean, what would you take away with you after having seen this play? I'd say don't do things without thinking about the consequences of your actions, which is something that you do realize within this play. These are two guys who've taken on a job that they obviously thought was easy, that they could do without a problem, but issues turn up that they're not prepared for. There's always little sudden surprises for them, which happen to people in life as well. And if you do have to ask questions, make sure you know who's listening.
yes, right. Perhaps also, if I could just add something to that, that is, people perhaps will get a sense of having more power than they realize that they do to make a difference in the world and to deal with all the issues that we're having to face these days. You talked about the wars, but the problems with climate and racism and all the rest of it. There is something that we can do if we do it together. Maybe that's something that the play will give us a chance to explore.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Like I said, I'm sure there's a lot of people that will walk away and just think, wait a minute, didn't he say this? Didn't they do that? Wait, did he or didn't he? Did they do this? Did they do that? Yeah, but what about so and so? And I'm sure it will bring up a lot of issues and discussions amongst people, like it has done with us, with the three of us, basically, you, Susan, and myself.
Yes.
With different points of view, saying, "Oh no, well I think it's done like this. Well, I think he was thinking that."
Yeah. Well, great. So, Jai, thanks so much for your time to share your thoughts and so forth. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the theater stage the 15th to the 18th of November.
Looking forward to seeing you on stage as well.
All right.
Thank you very much for having the time to interview me.
Very welcome. Well, that's it for today. Please join us one evening this November to see The Dumb Waiter by Harold Pinter, a performance permitted by special arrangement with Concord Theatricals GmbH on behalf of Samuel French Ltd. Details are in the text below, and you can reserve your tickets by simply clicking on the QR code. Comments and suggestions are always welcome, and please like our webpage to be informed of future podcasts. Have a great day and evening, and Until next time.